YouTube, welcome back to Fight Class. I actually want to take a step back today. The other day we talked about how to approach a fight. But before we start approaching and pushing teams, today I'm giving you my top 3 tips on how to win early game. So let's get into it. As always, before we get into the tips, if you do find this helpful, make sure you hit that like button. And of course, if you are looking to get better, make sure you hit that subscribe button and have notifications turned on. I, of course, have Fight Class, the Situation Series, and Movement 101. So let's get into tip number 1. Land at the same spot every game. For me, this is train station, and I want you to get to know the location that you choose very well. I want you to know the ins and outs. I want you to know where teams generally push from. I want you to know where the jump spots and flank spots are. And most importantly, I want you to work on your comms with your team. When I say ledge side, my teammates know exactly what I'm talking about. This is going to allow you to wipe teams early and ultimately take control of this location. Very rarely do we not land train, and if we don't, it's generally because the flight path doesn't allow us to. Tip number 2, and I say this every single season, the biggest key, in my opinion, to winning early game is being comfortable with the floor loot. You have to be comfortable with guns that you can find anywhere. For me, I'm always looking for an RPD or an LC-10. Those are the 2 guns that I feel most comfortable with. Now, yours could be the FARA, it could be the PPSH. Whatever gun it is, just make sure you're comfortable, and that's the gun you should be looking for. Now, little bit different than most seasons as we have a lot of good crate guns. Guns that you pull out of crates. We have epic MAC-10s. We have legendary bullfrogs. We have legendary RPDs. I am more inclined to pick these up now because I know I'm comfortable with a MAC-10. The one thing I will say though is don't feel pressed and, don't feel like you have to pick it up. If you aren't familiar with a bullfrog and don't use it much, but you're comfortable with a floor loot LC-10, don't be afraid to keep the floor loot LC-10. That's okay. Ultimately, it comes down to what can you win your gunfights with. As I always say, a legendary gun isn't legendary if you can't actually hit your shots with it. Okay, tip number 3, get your loadout. The sooner you can get your loadout, the better. I need you to understand that a lot of your kills are going to come early game. Look, a lot of teams go ghost when they get that first free loadout, and you want to be pushing non-ghosted players. A great time to do this is as soon as you get loadout, get in a car, or even rotate on foot, but start pushing the teams that are still looting, the teams that only have floor loot. This is going to give you a huge advantage. You're going to have your lethals, your tacticals, your gun builds, everything you feel comfortable with, and it's going to allow you to get more kills early game, and then you can settle into that mid game, and then of course it turns over to late game where the goal is to go for the win. So the sooner you can get loadout, the better. Those are my top 3 tips for winning early game. Make sure you share this with a teammate, and as I always say, let's get better today and subscribe for more.